Hi, and welcome to Temple Update. I'm Lynn Giroud.
And I'm Charles Fedulo.
Well, it finally happened. The talk all over campus, of course, Temple's win over Rutgers Saturday. The first win of the football season gave Temple fans something to cheer about, an end to Coach Jerry Burnt's personal 28-game losing streak, and hope for next year. Mike Rossi has more now on the game.
Well, it took 11 long games, Lynn, but the Temple Owls finally get win number 1 in 1989. Owls beat Rutgers 36-33 last weekend at the Vet, and things finally took a turn for the better for Temple with plays like this, a Sam Jenkins 10-yard touchdown dash, which capped a 21-point first quarter for Temple. And even though the win wasn't pretty, after 28 straight losses, head coach Jerry Burnt was on top of the world. Hopefully the Owls will use this win as a stepping stone for next year. And with a very young team, the Owls can take this losing season and make 1990 a winning one. I'll be back with all the sports later on in the broadcast. Lynn, Chuck.
Thanks, Mike. New strategies for the city's war on drugs were highlighted at a recent anti-drug conference on Temple's campus. The theme of the strategy session, Great Expectations, Moving into the 90s, United and Drug-Free. The city's health department presented the conference as a forum for community leaders, professionals, and concerned citizens. The Community Drug Prevention Network of the city's health department oversees more than 75 neighborhood organizations that meet monthly to share experiences and resources. The conference was a part of Join the Resistance, the unifying theme of the city's war on drugs.
It could be an emergency or a scheduled clinic appointment. Sometimes children must accompany their parents to the hospital. As Lisa Boatler reports, Temple University's hospital has a unique way of entertaining the youngsters.
Okay, I'm going to read the story about the man who cooked for himself. What about that?
Powerful words like once upon a time immediately cast your imagination to faraway wonderlands and fantasies yet to be realized. With some 200 children accompanying parents through Temple's emergency and gynecological hospital facilities each week, employees decided to take advantage of storytelling's magic. Constance Garcia Barrio conceived and developed an idea for a child's reading room.
I got the idea when I was in the waiting room in the emergency department with my son, and I saw that children were running around and getting restless and occasionally being slapped by parents. And I felt that that time could be used to read with the children.
Volunteers accompany children from the emergency room or gynecological center into one of 2 reading rooms. Children hear stories, color, and play. Garcia acknowledges a dual purpose for the room.
First, you would have them calm and quiet. And second, you would be able to build their reading skills and interest them in books.
The room also acts as a buffer for young children who might otherwise be exposed to frightening medical procedures. Garcia Barrio says this is the only hospital emergency reading room in the country. The White House and literacy advocates like Ellen Casey have praised this plan. She helped kick off the program at a ribbon-cutting ceremony.
Reading is so important to children in Pennsylvania. We don't want any Pennsylvania children to have to grow up and not be able to read like so many adults in Pennsylvania. And it's nice to know that the emergency room offers not only booster shots and bandages, but also books.
Don't let the laughter make light of reading. Illiteracy is a serious problem facing the country. Temple University's Vice President for Health Sciences explains.
The U.S. Department of Education reports that illiteracy costs the U.S. taxpayers in excess of $200 billion annually in remedial assistance programs, crime, lost tax revenues, military accidents, diminished productivity in the workforce.
Hospital volunteers who read to the children help combat illiteracy. Sonia Swaggart, coordinator of guest relations and volunteer services, helped develop the reading program. She says that while they're listening, children are expanding their vocabulary and engaging in preschool learning activities. For kids, though, it's just plain fun. I'm in the OB/GYN department of Temple University Hospital. Brandon is 4 years old, and he's just been listening to some stories being read to him. Brandon, what did you think about the stories?
Rebecca, my his teacher gave it to.
The Free Library of Philadelphia donates books. others are purchased at local bookstores. While books are important, the main thrust of the program lies in volunteers willing to spend quality time with the children. Volunteers hope the learning will continue after a child's visit to the reading room. Before leaving, children are given a free paperback book and a form for a library card at the Free Library of Philadelphia. The reading room gives parents peace of mind while at the hospital. Kids, whether they know it or not, get a push in the right direction. For Temple Update, I'm Lisa Boatler.
If you need to brush up on your writing skills, Temple University has a program that can help. Temple's Writing Center has served more than 2,000 students since it opened last year. It offers a variety of services to undergraduates, especially those in elect composition, writing intensive, and core courses. Center staff members provide one-on-one tutoring and guidance in grammar, punctuation, and clarity. The center opened last fall to help implement the core curriculum. It was the thrill of a lifetime for the Temple Orchestra. They finally made it to New York, but getting there took a long time. Temple Update's Paul Biava has the first of a two-part series explaining the exciting event.
Orchestra performed at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia before a packed house that included Riccardo Muti, music director for the world-renowned Philadelphia Orchestra. The concert was an unqualified success, with Maestro Muti hailing the Temple Orchestra for their musicality and high standard of playing. The excitement of the moment moved Esther Boyer Griswold, in whose honor the Esther Boyer School of Music is named, to donate money for a concert in New York. And that's how it started. The New York debut of the Temple Orchestra would turn out to be one of the university's crowning achievements, but it was a long road. The preparation, planning, and practice. The ponderous, pounding persistence for perfection. At times, it seemed endless for the students and for the artistic director, Louis Biava. In planning the concert, Maestro Biava decided against the standard repertoire of classical works. He said, New York is a cultural capital, and Temple's orchestra should not compete with the professional orchestras. Temple should perform something unique, and unique it was. Maestro Biava chose works by Mozart and Shostakovich, but then added pieces by William Bolcom and George Crumb, 20th century composers whose works are musically challenging and physically demanding. Both composers are alive and informed the university they would be attending the concert. Maestro Biava, in balancing the program, assured himself that the orchestra would make a mark on the collegiate musical scene. Bolcom's piece was a piano concerto, which meant it required a soloist. Biava and his staff selected Marc-Andre Hamelin, who earned a BA and MA in music from Temple, and is pursuing his doctorate now. Hamelin is one of the few pianists in the country who has played the Bolcom concerto. The makings of a great concert were coming together. Mark talked about his future and his advice to students.
I've been doing some recording, but I would like to do much more. I feel that I hope I'm not being pretentious or anything, but I feel I can perform a certain kind of service by recording unfamiliar and previously unrecorded works. An exposure to, as wide a range of interests as possible is going to enrich your musicianship, as I've said earlier.
For Mark and the orchestra, New York was becoming a reality. Each day brought it a little closer. Haverford College was the setting for a dress rehearsal of the Lincoln Center program. Before an enthusiastic audience, they played with a strength and determination that was top-notch. But this wasn't enough. The orchestra members were driven by something deeper. They were shooting for perfection. Maria Schneider, a flutist, reflected on the Haverford performance.
It went very well for the most part. There are some things that we'd like to do better, and I'm sure we're going to tomorrow night, but for the most part, it was just really great. I mean, we make up for maybe our lack of unity with our exuberance, so I'm sure it's going to be great.
Mark Hamelin, whose playing was a combination of controlled thunder and elegant madness, was relaxed after his grueling concerto.
I'm actually expecting to feel quite relaxed about it, as I did today. There was really no problem with anything. I think it went very nicely. The audience was very enthusiastic, and many people told me that they actually liked the piece quite a lot.
Moments after the Haverford performance, Maestro Biava was excited, but he still had New York on his mind.
I think it went
wonderful, wonderful. Really, it's going to be a great concert in New York.
Everything was fantastic so far. All that was left was the big event. Next week, New York City. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Paul Biava.
A new study says that if you play in the band, you may suffer permanent hearing loss. A teacher in Orange County, California, studied hearing loss in 1,500 students in grades 2, 8, and 12. The study reveals only 7% of second graders showed hearing loss, but among 12th grade students, the percentage was much higher, especially among musicians. Band members, the study found, have a 13% higher chance of permanent hearing loss. Risk factors include practicing music and wearing headphones. In the final segment of our special report, Barriers, What It Means to Be a Wheelchair User in Philadelphia, Kristen Ford takes a look at what the future holds.
When I get a degree, I want to use it to the best of my ability and not worry about, you know, whether I'm handicapped.
Walking across campus on an autumn afternoon, something Mike Clement can never do. But he can still get around. He can still play basketball. And someday, Mike hopes to get a good job. But a lot depends on where the disabled rights movement goes from here. Will things continue to improve, or just stay the same? Denise Aiello is director of the Housing Consortium for Disabled Individuals. She says accessible housing is the main goal of the handicap rights movement, and education is the key to obtaining it.
We teach people with disabilities to understand what subsidized housing is, how they can get special assistance so that their rents can be affordable. We work with them in knowing whether they're being discriminated against in housing because of their disability. We work with them to try to find a home which is both accessible and affordable, and housing that is within their communities so that they don't have to be segregated. We provide education and training to builders and developers here in the city of Philadelphia to educate them to the design of accessible housing, how to promote access in the kitchen and bathroom facilities for someone who uses a wheelchair. What are the laws that govern this type of accessibility for people with disabilities, why they must be responsible.
The Housing Consortium has produced a film to show the plight of handicap advocacy. Change of Heart centers upon the efforts of a fictional superhero named Minority Woman. This mythical hero is modeled after the real-life director of the consortium. For most of the film, her efforts to lobby bankers, builders, and city officials are met with a lukewarm response, until Minority Woman invokes a little magic.
Minority Woman and Harmony take to the air, and in no time, they've spread their awareness where it will do the most good. That night, in his sleep, the banker feels what it's like to count his money without hands. Mr. Headhouse tries to climb a flight of stairs while wearing a cast. And the mayor? Well, he attempts to use the bathroom while in a wheelchair. The next morning, the mayor remembers his dream and arranges to meet with Minority Woman. I've had a dream and I see the light, he tells her.
Mary Ryan is director of Temple's Office of Disabled Student Services. She says as far as handicap rights have progressed, there's still work to be done.
Housing is still an issue. There's not enough accessible, affordable housing in the city of Philadelphia. And we still have a long way to go with integrating people with disabilities into the job market too, especially affordable jobs so that they can then afford housing.
Temple University freshman Mike Clement wonders about his future. Will the job market be closed to him because he's disabled?
Working in the real world and getting a job, it's against the law to segregate against anyone. I mean, that's what this whole like 60s civil rights movement, I mean, used to be in the past that you know, handicapped people were segregated against. Now, I mean, that thought of being segregated in the workplace hasn't really occurred to me. I mean, when I get a degree, I want to use it to the best of my ability, and I want to be happy with what I do for a living and not worry about, you know, whether I'm handicapped. I'm not going to let that get in my way. If I fail, at least I know I tried and, you know, gave it a good effort.
Who went to Temple? Mike Clemens, Bill Cosby. In that order.
Yeah, not order. But he only won about 50 years before you. Right.
We've seen Mike and his peers in class and recreation. Things have progressed over the last 10 years, and there's every indication that it will get easier to wheel around campus and the city itself. One major barrier remains, the biggest of all, prejudice. How soon will that barrier disappear? We can make it happen. For Temple Update, I'm Kristen Four.
Coming up on Temple Update, a look at a Philadelphia original, the cheesesteak.
And Jerry Burnt the Owls and a long, cruel losing streak. Coming up on Temple Update.
Something you have that you need every moment of your life. But if you give it away, you'll never miss it. It's common, yet precious. And even though you need it to live, you'll feel better when you give it away. It's blood. And now more than ever, the American Red Cross needs healthy donors. Give blood, please.
If you've recently made the switch to decaffeinated coffee, beware. The American Cancer Association has just released the results of a study. The study reveals that bad cholesterol increased an average of 7% for decaffeinated coffee drinkers. Cholesterol for caffeinated coffee and non-coffee drinkers did not increase. The rise in bad cholesterol brings more bad news and increased risk for a heart attack. It's the Philadelphia original, the cheesesteak. I was craving one recently, so I went on a quest for the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia. W.C. Fields once said, "All in all, I'd rather be in Philadelphia." It's rumored that the reason was the Philadelphia cheesesteak. For those of you not familiar with the cheesesteak, Drexel student Tony LaRussa explains.
That special combination of thinly sliced meat, melted cheese, and a hot, freshly baked roll, I think. And I think that's what's unique about it.
But what makes it so special? Temple student Mike Saunders gives this brief history.
The Philadelphia cheesesteak has a long tradition. It's sort of like Rocky. Rocky, you hear Rocky, you think Philadelphia. Your cheesesteak, Philadelphia. They're one and the same. A cheesesteak is just like Rocky and Philadelphia. It's a big triad.
Why do people go crazy for the Philadelphia original? Well, here's two very different reasons.
I think if you grow up in Philadelphia, you just grow up on cheesesteaks, and it's something you get accustomed to. You're weaned on cheesesteaks.
You can't explain a cheesesteak experience. It's not like sex. It just makes you feel good, and it's all over, man.
Having discovered what a cheesesteak is, I wondered, where could you find the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia? We went to the streets. We got some answers.
Abner's.
Why?
Tastes great. Less filling.
That's it. The best cheesesteaks in Philadelphia, Jim Steaks.
Pat, we don't Pat. Yeah. Oh, Gino's.
Everybody else knows.
Pat,
Why?
because it tastes good.
The best cheesesteak in Philadelphia. We're going to find out where that is today. First, we started here at Pat's. Next, we're going across the street to Gino's. We'll then head to Abner's in West Philadelphia, Jim's on South Street, and we'll end on Temple's campus at the Owl's Nest. Right now, Pat's is looking pretty good. Pat's, located in the heart of South Philadelphia, is called the King of Steaks, the original. It's open 24 hours, and there always seems to be people there.
They're the best. Everybody comes here from all over the world just to have a cheesesteak.
Philadelphia Magazine thinks they were the best this year. We'll have to see about that. Pat's certainly is the most helpful. If you're stuck on what to order, I Am Hungry can help. And if you're stuck on how to order, Pat's has faxability. We went to Gino's next. Here they pride themselves on the quality of their meat and the cleanliness of their kitchen. People of all ages come to Gino's for the delectable delights, all for different reasons.
But what's your favorite part?
Probably the onions.
She must be fun to kiss. Here at Gino's,
competition across the street with Pat's is intense. Which is better? The answer is yet to come.
The cheesesteak stuck to my pants and to my ribs. The next stop was Abner's at 38th and Chestnut.
At Abner's, the recipe is so secret, they wouldn't even let their employees talk to us.
We had to move on. Time was passing, and there were steaks still crying to be eaten. We moved on to Jim's, located on South Street. Obviously Linda Kurth's favorite. The decision was getting tougher. so was my heartburn.
Standing here at Jim's Steaks, we're more than halfway there, and there's no decisive winner yet. And as you can see, finding the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia is a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Finally, we made it to the Owl's Nest. The reputation of the others it doesn't have, a great cheesesteak it does.
So nobody else in Philadelphia knows how to cook a cheesesteak the right way. I have the secret patented formula, and I know how to do it just right.
Well, what's the special thing in the secret?
Well, if I told you now, it wouldn't be special and it wouldn't be a secret, would it?
The place was small. It felt like home, like Mom was cooking a cheesesteak. The competition was fierce. So was my indigestion. I decided to make a decision the next morning. I went to bed with cheesesteaks dancing in my head and woke up with a clear-cut winner of the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia. You'll have to tune in next week to find out what Temple Update's best cheesesteak in Philadelphia is.
Well, do you crave Oreo cookies, M&Ms, and other fat-ridden goodies? A study by a University of Michigan professor says you're not alone. There's a direct link between physical craving for sweets and the calorie rush they produce. You can help yourself by eliminating fatty foods from your diet. Read food labels carefully and learn about your metabolism. Then you'll find ways of creating tasty substitutes for sweets. Well, along with the cheesesteak, pretzels are a Philadelphia institution, and the Pretzel Ladies are an institution on Temple's main campus. John Asello reports.
On Temple University's campus, many choices abound for a hungry college student. But one item seems to have universal appeal: pretzels. Dottie Maroney and Josie Martella, known better as the Pretzel Ladies, are a Temple institution. From a permanent structure in front of Paley Library, the two have been selling the only hot pretzels on Temple's campus for the past 9 years. What sets them apart from other pretzel vendors?
We serve hot pretzels and we serve cheese pretzels, and we happen to be the only pretzel people that get 2 deliveries because we sell so many pretzels. We divide our delivery in half. And in other words, if you come at 12 o'clock, you get a pretzel that was just delivered 10 minutes ago, whereas one that was delivered 6:30 in the morning.
Through the years, Dottie and Josie have braved teacher strikes, student demonstrations, and sometimes simply the bare essentials of college life.
When streaking wasn't bad, and we were waiting on customers, and we looked and we saw this fellow. He was I'd say about 6'3", and it was Easter time, and he had on a tuxedo, and he had on bunny ears and a bow tie, and he had a tail in the back, and that's all he had on.
A sense of humor, a kind word, and the hottest pretzels on campus keep students coming back for more year after year.
The business community is proposing a new way of linking high school graduates with jobs. It's a computerized data bank called WorkLink. The system would provide potential employers with transcripts, attendance, and even personal references. Participation in the $4 million program will be voluntary. Educators say the idea could repair a serious crack in education. Students say it doesn't matter what they learn as long as they earn a diploma. And at the sports desk, finally a good day on the gridiron for the Owls. Mike Rossi has more. Mike?
Thanks, Chuck. The Temple Owls' 1989 football season has been a major disappointment. Many fans hoped that Jerry Burnt would immediately come in and turn things around, but that didn't happen, and the Owls lost their first 10 games of the year. And that left one chance for a win against East Coast rival Rutgers in the final game of the season. Formed out of the blocks when Leslie Shepard returned the opening kickoff 73 yards to lead to this 2-yard touchdown dive by Roman Hale. But the Owls weren't finished yet. A Rutgers fumble led to this 1-yard dive by Hale, and the Owls led 14-0. The young Owls rushing attack was in high gear. Here, sophomore Scott McNair with a 27-yard dash, setting up a nifty 10-yard touchdown run by Sam Jenkins. Right here, and the Owls were on top by 21 in under 10 minutes of the game. But the Scarlet Knights would fight back. Rutgers quarterback Scott Ernie with an impressive day hits James Cann from 3 yards out, and Rutgers was back in the ballgame. Temple kicker Bobby Wright here boots a 38-yarder, and the Owls tack on some more points. Owls quarterback Anthony Richardson threw for 186 yards on the day, 55 on this bomb to Leslie Shepard all the way down to the 1-yard line, and Temple president Peter Leocoris' beard was on the endangered list. Things got hairy for Scott Ernie. Here he was sacked by Santos Stevens, and maybe a black cat was a sign of good luck for the Owls. Rutgers seemed to have 9 lives as they scored 2 touchdowns to pull within 3 late in the game. But something that's killed Temple all year buried the Scarlet Knights. Turnovers, 2 in the last 4 minutes, which preserved the Owls' first win of 1989. Jerry Burnt's first win after 28 straight losses. And for Burnt and the Owls, this was their Super Bowl.
I just can't tell you what a feeling that is. It's been so long. It's been so long for me and the coaches, and it seems like an eternity for us.
The first win is great. I mean, I haven't won a football game when I started at quarterback since halfway through my high school year, so this is a great time for me.
I think, it's going to be a positive. Everybody thinks that next year, well, they're going to be even worse, but we have a lot of young guys, and this year was good because they got a chance to play. So they got their feet wet, and next year they can just go on from there.
Now, before the year started, Temple President Peter Liacouras said that he wouldn't shave his beard until the Owls won a game. Well, needless to say, we're looking forward to seeing that shave, and we even brought the razor. Temple Update's Dan Loney now takes a look back at the 1989 season of the Temple Owls.
So the 1989 football season for the Temple Owls ends on a good note. They win versus Rutgers, but they end the season 1-10. Certainly not what they were looking for when they began the season back in August. But that one win may be very important in the career of head coach Jerry Burnt for 2 reasons. First of all, his seniors. It certainly doesn't leave them with a bad taste in their mouths going out on a win. Secondly, the young players. The players like Kayida Crispina, Scott McNair, and Anthony Richardson. They contributed a great deal to this win, and those are the players that you, the fans, are going to be seeing for the next 3 seasons here at Temple University. So in summation, things are looking up for the Temple Owls football program. These blocking sleds will be quiet now for a while, but come spring ball, it all starts again. Taking a look back, I'm Dan Loney.
In women's volleyball, the Lady Owls, ranked number 5, lost to number 4 West Virginia in the opening match of the 1989 Atlantic 10 volleyball tournament at George Washington. The Lady Owls' 22-15 finish marked Temple's first winning season under head coach Sharon Daniels-Oleksak. The Lady Owls should continue their winning ways next year with several returning players such as junior Shelley Miller, sophomores Diane Walther and Jennifer Hoffer. Another Lady Owl to keep your eye on next year is freshman Leslie Brandt, who was named Atlantic 10 Freshman of the Week during the regular season. Well, the men's basketball preseason continues, and in their second game of the year, the Owls put on quite a show. The Owls faced off against the Verich Reps at McGonigal Hall and pulled out a victory 97-95. The regular season for Temple basketball opens November 28th against Penn at the Palestra. And the Temple's men's gymnastics team took second place in the Metro Open at the United States Naval Academy last weekend. Navy finished in first place just ahead of the Owls. The Owls will travel to Penn State on Friday for a meet with the Nittany Lions and Kent State University. Now back to you, Lynn and Chuck.
A study in this month